At this point I have a very simple mesh with a very basic bone setup in place for the facial rig. What we're going to do next is we're actually going to use what we learned so far from the basic rigging 01 video to rig the rest of his body. So I'm going to go ahead and hit 4 to make my character transparent, and I'm going to go to skeleton, and what I'd like to do now is I'm just going to create my own custom tab. So I'm going to click on here and new shelf, and I'm just going to name it demargin and hit OK. Now on this demargin tab, I'm going to go ahead and start with just my joint tool by holding Control Shift, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the options for mirror joint. And again, I held Control Shift and I clicked on options. So let's go ahead and click on the bone here, and then right in the center of his pelvis I'm just going to create a bone and I'm going to name it root. Now I'm going to hit W, and I'm going to, by holding down X, I'm going to make sure it snaps to that grid, and then I'm just going to move it down to the pelvis. Now I'm going to redo that action by hitting G, create a bone in the hip. By holding Shift, you can see it creates a straight bone joint. I'm going to create one in the middle of his leg, one about his ankle, one to about the center of his foot, and then the base of his foot. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit Enter. And you want to make sure that the hierarchy points upward so that the arrow is here. I'm going to hold Shift, select the root, I'm going to hit P to parent. Now I'm parenting the base of that hip to that joint. Alright, I'm going to go to perspective, and I'm just going to go ahead and move these joints back into the ankle, something like that. And then I'm going to move this forward to the center of the foot, maybe down a little bit, and I'm going to move this up and then towards the center of the toe. So something that looks like this. Okay. And what I'm going to do is, again, if you watch the previous video, I go ahead and do all the naming. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and just name off these joints, L_hip and so on. Okay, I went ahead and I named all of these joints. I'm going to go ahead and select my hip here, click on my mirror joints option, make sure YZ is on, search for L_, replace with R_, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. Okay, and let's go to our front view to double check that. Doesn't look bad. And it looks like our root's in a good spot too. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and hit click my joint tool, and I'm going to run a joint just where his belly button is to about here. So just right here is our first one. And again, notice how I'm trying my best. So I'm going to select both of these guys and I'm going to hold D down. And again, I want to make sure that all of my joints, see, there's my pivot, fall directly on an axis. Another thing I want to make sure of is that each one of these guys is as straight as possible. See that? I don't want any weird jagged, and I kind of left areas of it unclean so you can see me fix it as I work. So again, here's that spine. I'm going to select that. I'm going to create another one just about here. So about there. And again, I'm being very conscious as I move to hold Shift. Okay, and I'm going to make a center clavicle here. Let's hit W and hold X to snap this to the grid. I'm going to move this down. Now I'm going to parent this here. I'm going to pause the video and name this spine 01, and clav. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a left clavicle here, a shoulder bone there, an elbow, a wrist, and a palm bone. Let's go to our perspective. Actually, let's go ahead and select this left clav, select the root, and hit P to parent. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and name this L_clav, and I'm going to pause the video and name this L_shoulder, L_elbow, L_wrist, and L_palm. Okay, let's go to our perspective view, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull that clav forward by holding D and just kind of clicking on that, so we get a nice forward clavicle. And I'm going to start moving these guys kind of in shape back in place here. I'm going to move my elbow back here, move this forward, and then I'm going to place this in the center of his hand. Alright, let's go to the top view, and I'm going to go ahead and select my joint tool, and I'm going to go ahead and just sort of create a thumb joint here. And for this particular character, I don't necessarily need to create because he's really not going to have, well, we'll go ahead and create it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and create 4 bones for the fingers. So we'll do one this way. And I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this. And what you'll notice is 16, 17, 18. It went ahead and renamed them. So 18, 17, 19. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that 2 more times. Like that. And what you can do is sort of select all of these guys. And knock them down to 0.1. And just sort of position them in place. Now something you ideally would want to do is sort of spread these fingers apart, because rigging these different fingers separately can become a headache. Or I'm sorry, rigging them this close together can become a headache. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing for this finger, this thumb actually. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do 0.1. And let's go ahead and create one more joint for the tip of the thumb here. Doesn't seem it wants to catch, so what I'm going to just go ahead and do is create a thumb joint here. Go ahead and do 0.1. Position that at the beginning of the finger and then just parent it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go to each one of these guys, and you're going to see them expand. Just select each one like this and parent it. And again, I'm just going back to the palm and parenting each one. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and name this L_thumb. And then L_thumb knuckle. Now I'm going to pause the video at this point just to save time. This is L_pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky. Okay, I'm also going to go ahead and sort of pull these in a little bit. Alright. Now, what I'm going to have to do is shift all of these guys up, because they were kind of created, as you remember from our last video, they were created on the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit W and pull all these guys up and position it just into the hand. So something like this. And I'm just going to push these guys down a little bit. Alright, so at this point we can go ahead and, because everything is named, we can go ahead and mirror that over. Our options still look good. I'm going to hit apply and then just double check it. We have our elbow, our palm, our thumb. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save that for now. Okay, let's go ahead and create the neck. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a joint here at the base of the neck. One, just the center of the jaw, so I'm holding shift here. And then one in the, just right between the eyes. And then one at the top of the head. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. Select the clav here and hit P to parent. Okay, so let's go ahead and name this joint neck. I'm going to name this jaw. I'm going to name this eye socket. And top of head. Now these bones on the top of the head, they don't really get much skinning. at all. Same thing with the joints at the tip of the fingers or the toe, the ones that go on the top. They don't really skin at all. They don't get skin to it all. So they're sort of just there. So I'm going to end this video here. So this is essentially the rig that's inside of his body. In the next video, we'll start to build out the controllers for the hands and the feet, and the FK for the arms and the IK for the legs.